Faible, ayang Jessica. My name is Jessica Yee. I am Wolf Clan from the Ugwasasne First Nation. And I think it's funny that you have two Mohawk women sitting at the end here, because it means we're going to get shit done on this session. You know how we do. I'm really honored, particularly to be sitting beside Ellen, because one of the entire reasons that I am able to sit here today and talk to you freely and being a Gunningahaga woman is because of Ellen, and because of the work that she has done in her home community of Gunningahaga. My parents, I was 7 or 8 years old when everything was happening at Oka, and I know it was because of Ellen and my other brothers and sisters in her community who existed for me to be here today as a young activist. So I really want to honor and acknowledge Ellen, and I will keep honoring and acknowledging her because we continue here today because of these women who are in our communities, these spokespeople, these leaders. And so it's something that I will never cease to stop doing. I'm here representing myself, but also representing the organization that I come from, the Native Youth Sexual Health Network. And we are a North America-wide, so-called North America-wide network that works on issues of healthy sexuality, reproductive justice, cultural competency, and youth empowerment. And I want to acknowledge that I'm speaking in English, in the language of the colonizer, which means that whatever I'm going to say to you is not going to do me justice and is not going to do justice to the words that I'm going to speak about. I'll do my best to try and put it together, but English is a really confusing, manipulative language. This forum is particularly important for me both on a personal level, coming from Ugwasasne, and on a work level where we encounter systems of criminalization over women's bodies repeatedly in both the sexual and reproductive health world. The lens that we use in reproductive justice is a human rights framework, and so we witness on a daily basis women who are still forced to undergo sterilization against their will, women who are arrested who are HIV positive, women who are substance users who are arrested for carrying their pregnancies to term, core child welfare and law enforcement agencies who fail to recognize the efforts of battered and incarcerated women to care for the children, and pregnant inmates who are subject to shackling during labor and poor prenatal care. And all of those issues intertwined with the fact that I come from a community that is currently being occupied by the Canadian Border Services Agency makes me enraged, but proud to be here today to talk to you about all of those things.
Hi, I'm Anna Louise, and it's a real honor to be on this panel. It's also incredibly intimidating because everybody is doing really awesome work. I'm here on behalf of Stella Day, which is Montreal's by and for sex worker organization. We're an organization that offers services, so we have an outreach team that we're an organization for women and trans women sex workers. We offer services where sex workers are living and working, so in escort agencies, strip clubs, massage parlors, on the street, particularly in Hochelaga-Maisonneuve, downtown Centre-Sud, but also in Montreal North, in DG, and on occasion in other parts of the island. We also offer services in prison because of the criminalization of sex work, of poverty, of homelessness, of drug use. A lot of the women who are members of Stella end up in prison at one point throughout the year. We offer services in provincial women's prison and in federal women's prison, where, as you I'm sure know and we'll hear more about, Indigenous and Black women are overrepresented, far overrepresented. We also offer services in crack houses and shooting galleries. We work with a street nurse from Doctors Without the World to offer a medical clinic where you don't need cards, so it's easy access for people who are undocumented migrants, trans women, or homeless who don't have their ID papers. We work with the street nurse to provide direct services to women in crack houses and in shooting galleries. We also have a legal clinic, which is ambulant, because again, of the criminalization of our work and of our lives, all the legal help we can get is useful and helpful. So we accompany women through court processes, whether it's because they're being sent to jail now, I think it's 6 months for one rock of crack, or whether it's because they are incredibly brave and courageous in attempting to press charges. We accompany them because the fact that they're sex workers or drug users, because they may have mental health issues or be homeless, means that they are completely beaten up by the system when they attempt to press charges most of the time. So a lot of our work involves being there and supporting brave and courageous women making their own choices about their own lives, but being there as support for them as they decide what they need to do. So it can be holding someone's hand in a hospital waiting room, it can be showing up in court with people, it can be rushing to the scene of a violent attack, or it can be offering health information. We fight on a daily basis and on a nightly basis for human rights, which means we fight for the decriminalization of sex work. As far as we're concerned, it's the only way to protect the health and safety, particularly of women who are in the most egregious situations, who have the least options, who are in the most difficulty. And we come into contact with, we have over 6,000 contacts a year with sex workers in the Montreal area, and I forgot the South Shore area as well. As for the outreach team, for the entire team at Stella, I should say, with the exception of one receptionist, at the present time we are all vying for sex workers. We're all women who work or have worked in the sex trade. The team at this point in time is French, Italian, Scottish mix, that would be me, and Métis. We've had different representation over the years. We represent a wide spectrum. There's one person on the team who has a master's degree and other people who haven't finished high school. The main criteria to work at Stella is not to have a social work education, but to have had extensive experience in the sex trade.
As Nora mentioned in our introductions, our center was started in 1981 as a service support and advocacy organization for women and their families coming from the South Asian region, in particular India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, and most recently, after the war in Afghanistan, we started working with Afghan women and their families. At this point, I also want to say that I am a founding member and I have been involved with SOC right since the beginning, but I see my role today more to share some information, but not necessarily to be able to answer every single question. And I'm very happy that in the room today we have two of the community workers from the SOC. We have Shipra Barua over there, and I just saw coordinator Sadika Siddiqui walk in. We also have members, Nighat, Farha, we have friends and allies, many of them over here. So I'm hoping when specific questions come up that, you'll feel free to come in and respond. Our center began because we noticed at this time, the beginning of the 1980s, that there were no resources for women from the South Asian region who found, because of language and culture issues, a huge divide. And so if they were in need of particular kinds of services, they might go to a women's center, they might not always get what they were looking for. And so we started out as a group of volunteers, and we've grown to a center that has a physical location that's open every weekday from 9 to 5, 2 nights a week, till 9 p.m. And when people say, what do you do? Well, we do everything. There's very little that we actually don't do. And even though we define ourselves as working with South Asian women and their families, nobody is turned away, so you don't have to be South Asian to come and and use the services or access the support we provide. And we also don't turn men away. The predominant work is with women, and we do have some activities that are women only, but if there are men who come either as part of their families or husbands who are trying to bring their spouses over, or refugee claimants, we don't turn them away. In terms of some of the specifics with regard to the work we do that entails working with the police, and I guess we'll get into this with some of the later questions. When we were invited to participate, it seemed to be a challenge to us, because obviously a forum that's organized against police brutality and impunity for an organization like ours, where we routinely would access police help in dealing with issues of domestic violence. Very often, women who come to our center are referred to us because the police have been called in, and then they contact us. It kind of makes it very difficult because we don't see any alternatives at the moment. On the other hand, we have dealt with the police in other areas of work or interest. For example, the murder of this young woman of Bangladeshi origin in 1998 in Angkor Park, Milia Brar, the murderer is still going free. And we definitely feel the fact that she's a brown woman has something to do with the fact that nobody has been arrested or charged in her murder. Similarly, in our work with other coalitions, we are very aware, the March 8th coalition, the police attacks on us, or youth who are racially profiled in metro stations, etc. So we have different kinds of interactions with the police, and maybe in question and discussion we can talk more about that.
Project, which is an organization that started about 2 years ago here in Montreal. We primarily organize a pen pal program for queer and trans prisoners and people from the same community on the outside, but we also have a resource library where prisoners can write to us requesting specific resources, and we go send them the resources. And we also organize events and workshops. And our mandate is that we seek to minimize the isolation, harm, and lived costs that come out of the vulnerabilities to policing faced by queer and trans people, and the outcome of that policing, which is prisons. And we seek to support queer and trans survival inside prisons in a way that prioritizes the needs and concerns of the prisoners. And so if you're interested in finding out more about the organization, we have some flyers in the back.
Thank you all. So the title of this workshop is Gender and Police Violence, but I think it's probably